Did Splatoon 3 completely replace Splatoon 2? Splatoon is a series that has undergone some of the least changes of any game series. One game launches to massive success, and the next launches with very few changes. To figure out if Splatoon 2 is still worth playing, we need to first take a look back at the history of Splatoon games. Splatoon 1 launched all the way back in 2015 on the Wii U, which wasn't the best performing console Nintendo's made. Despite that, Splatoon 1 still sold shockingly well, which proved to both Nintendo and the world that this little shooter game has a boatload of potential. Putting Splatoon on the Nintendo Switch seemed like a no-brainer. To no one's surprise, Splatoon 2 launched in 2017 to massive success. Despite only having one new mode and minor quality of life improvements, simply being on the Switch made Splatoon 2 a great success. Everything seemed great. Splatoon 2 kept getting updates, Splatfests were as fun as ever, and we even got an Octo expansion DLC. Everyone assumed that Splatoon would be a new fun multiplayer game in Nintendo's roster. These series are all very alike with one major difference. Smash Bros. And Mario Kart have one new game on every console, while Splatoon 3 was announced to release on the Nintendo Switch in 2022. To everyone's surprise, this game has been selling fantastically so far, despite not having any new modes, unless you count Tricolor Turf War, which I don't. So what's the deal? Why is Splatoon 3 selling so well despite not having any new modes? Well, in reality, Splatoon 3 feels like the Splatoon 2 that we never got. It feels like the first real sequel to Splatoon. Let me explain. While Splatoon 2 feels like a Wii U port in many ways, Splatoon 3 feels like a brand new game, incomparable to the first two in many ways. Everything from the atmosphere, the lighting, the setting, and overall tone of the game feel completely different from the first two. This circles back to the idea that Splatoon 2 was more of a port than it was a sequel. Conceptually, the first two games are exactly the same. The only real difference between the two is the addition of Salmon Run. Don't get me wrong, Salmon Run is a blast, but it's not enough to warrant a $60 purchase if you already had the first game. Besides that, why else would you buy Splatoon 2? The mildly improved UI and new weapons? Comparing this to Splatoon 3 is night and day. 5 minutes into Splatoon 3 and the differences are inked all over the wall. Literally. While the first two games open up in bustling metropolitan cities, Splatoon 3 opens up in an empty and deserted wasteland. If that doesn't scream unique, then I don't know what does. And that's just stylistic choices. Splatoon 3 adds so much that the first two games don't have, which is super refreshing. Let's start with the single player, which combines and improves upon all of the previous campaigns to a staggering extent. Splat 3 introduces unique new game mechanics, such as the Small Fry, who you get to customize and use as a helpful progression device. That's not to mention all the new types of blocks, which add a surprising amount to the gameplay. And without spoiling anything, the boss design is absolutely incredible. The best it's ever been in this series. All of the bosses are very memorable, whether it's for difficulty, design, or both. But that's just the story mode. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of Splatoon, that being online play. The online modes in Splatoon 3 are the best in the series, and truly cement it as the first real sequel to Splatoon. Let me break down each mode one by one and really explain what makes Splat 3 the best of the trilogy. While some new changes, like the Squid Surge, feel almost useless, there are others such as the Squid Roll that make Turf War feel less like a port and more like a brand new mode in itself. While dualies still keep their unique, easy to spam, anyone can use the Squid Roll to dodge backwards. This mechanic has saved me countless times, which is impressive considering I only learned about it recently. Now let's talk about the bread and butter of casual Splatoon, Turf War. Actually, not much has changed here. There's the new weapons, yeah, but those can be used in any mode. And while the new weapons are neat, the new specials are even neater. There's some returning ones, but the new ones are what makes Splatoon 3 a worthy sequel. I'll run through them as fast as possible. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Trizooka is a generic, albeit useful weapon. Killer Whale 5.1 is exactly as its name suggests, useful, but doesn't ink anything. I'm neutral on it. The crab tank is great offensively, but unfortunately isn't capable of excelling in crowds. If someone gets behind you, it's over. Big Bubbler is an absolute beast of more support-heavy setups and can help a ton when in a heated battle. The Zipcaster is basically a Splatoon-style grappling hook that feels sort of pointless except for using it to rush the enemy base. It definitely can allow a comeback to happen, but it's very situational. The Triple Ink Strike is great for Salmon Run, but still holds up in other modes. Wavebreaker is incredibly useful as support in the main modes, and just as useful as a Triumph card in Salmon Run. The Ink Vac is hit or miss, but when it hits, it hits. Reef Slider is incredibly frustrating to play against, but amazing to play with. And finally, the Tacticooler is an effective stat boost that excels in any situation, great for making comebacks. All of these new specials can be used in both Turf War and Anarchy battles. Speaking of which, Anarchy battles have received a beautiful new rank-up system, far superior to the ones in the previous 2 games. And hey, now you can actually join your friends during Ranked, which was shockingly missing from Splatoon 2. While all these new specials are nice additions to the main modes, we actually got a brand new main mode at launch. And unlike Splatoon 2's launch, this one's actually open 24/7. Albeit not the best mode ever, Tricolor Turf War can be a ton of fun. Now let's build upon Splatoon 2's largest addition, Salmon Run. In Splatoon 3, we got what feels like an actual sequel, appropriately titled Salmon Run Next Wave. I'm gonna have to start off by giving a huge round of applause to Nintendo because Salmon Run is now always available. Yet another reason why Splatoon 3 is superior to its predecessors in every way. Not only that, but Nintendo was kind enough to bring some new boss salmonids too. Let me run through those real quick to show you just how much better Next Wave really is. The fish stick is exactly what he sounds like. Stick of fish. Big Shot? No, not that Big Shot. Is a chunky salmonid that comes out of the water, drops down a cannon, and fires a massive wave breaker special shot. The Slammin' Lid is a tiny little guy piloting a huge saucer that protects other salmonids. Drops them down in front of you and will slam down on you if you get too close. The Flipper Flopper dives out of the water and creates large circles of its own ink. If inked over, the fish will not be able to dive into the ink and will flop on the ground where it can be attacked. And finally, we have the Mudmouth, who only spawns on special Mudmouth rounds. To defeat this special salmonid, you have to throw bombs into its gaping mouth. These new bosses are included in addition to all of the original bosses, making Next Wave superior to its predecessor in every way possible. And we haven't even mentioned the King Salmonid yet. The King Salmonid, also known as Kohozuna, appears as a special bonus wave on occasion. While this new feature is poorly explained, it makes for a good time once you get the hang of it. I could go on and on about how Splatoon 3 is the best Splat game for ages. I haven't even gotten to touch on lockers, splash tags, quality of life improvements, table turf, the hub world. Seriously, there's too much to talk about in one video. Everything, and I do mean everything, feels like an upgrade from the first 2 games. Splatoon finally feels evolved, and unlike 2, the game feels new and unique again. I'm so excited for the future of the Splatoon franchise, and I hope it becomes an even more iconic staple of Nintendo's marketing. Now, did Splatoon 2 have a purpose? Yeah, it certainly did. It was a great release for its time. But if you own Splatoon 3, there's unfortunately no reason to play it anymore. Much like Splatoon 1, Splatoon 2 will go down as a game only played occasionally for nostalgia or consistently by the most die-hard fans. So what do you think? Will you keep playing Splatoon 2? Let us know in the comments down below. This has been Brett from Game Domain. Thank you for watching.